Day 12, Creating a Family Recipe Book. Welcome to Day 12, our final day of the 12 Days of Family Learning Adventures. Over the past 12 days, we've explored traditions that you're probably already doing. We've looked at the learning hiding inside everyday activity. And starting at Day 8, I introduced the head coach framework. You learned about systematic thinking on Day 9, addressing the foundation instead of fixing surface symptoms. You learned about the win-win-win systems on Day 10, creating situations where everyone actually wins and nothing burns you out. In Day 11, you learned about strategic resource allocation, investing your limited time and energy in activities that create the biggest returns. Today, we're bringing it all together with one final tradition, creating a family recipe book. This is writing, heritage, storytelling, and memory keeping all wrapped up into one meaningful project. And today, I want to talk about the third pillar of head coach thinking, long-term development. Because ultimately, this framework isn't about this week's homework or this month's test scores. It's about building a capable, confident, lifelong learner. First, let me tell you what's actually happening when your child creates a family recipe book. They're practicing functional writing, learning the recipe format, writing clear instructions that someone else can actually follow. They're developing interview skills, asking family members thoughtful questions, and really listening to the answers. They're building cultural awareness, understanding where family traditions come from and why they matter. They're using sequencing skills. First this step, then that step, in the right order. They're practicing measurement and math. 1/4 cup, 2 tablespoons, 350 degrees. But here's what makes this project so powerful. It gives their writing real purpose and a real audience. They're not writing to turn it in for a grade from a teacher who has to read 25 other essays just like it. They're writing to preserve something important, to share family knowledge, to honor family history. There's a real purpose. This recipe might be lost if I don't write it down. There's a real audience. I'm making this for grandma. She's going to read this. For kids who struggle with writing, and especially for kids with dyslexia or ADHD, who often have a hard time with writing, this removes the biggest barrier. I don't know what to write about. The stories are already there. The recipes already exist. They just have to capture them and document them. Now, here's what long-term development means. As the head coach, you're not focused on this week's spelling test or this month's report card. Those things matter, but they're not the main focus. You're focused on long-term development. You're building the athlete, not just trying to win this week's game. This family recipe book, it's not about a writing grade, although it might improve as a side effect. It's about building multiple things that will serve your child for life. Identity as an author and a creator. I made something real. I'm someone who documents and preserves important things. Skills that we'll use forever. Interviewing people, documenting processes, organizing information, preserving family knowledge, connection to family heritage and purpose, understanding where they come from and what matters to their family, knowing they're part of something bigger than themselves, understanding that their voice matters, what they write has value, what they create makes a difference. People actually want to read what they've written. This is long-term development. You're not teaching them to pass next week's test. You're developing capacities that will serve them for years and years. The head coach always asks, what is this building toward? What capacity am I developing that will matter 10 years from now? Test scores matter in the moment, but the capacity to interview people, document processes, and preserve what matters, that's lifelong. Okay, let me walk you through exactly how to create family recipe book with your child. Step 1, choose your recipe. 5 to 10 recipes is plenty. Sit down together and make a list of family favorites. Grandma's famous cookie, Dad's chili that everyone requests, the cake we always make for birthdays, holiday dishes that show up every year, recipes that tell a story about your family history. You don't need 50 recipes. Start with 5 to 10 that really matter to your family. Step 2, gather the stories. This is the heart of the project. This is where real learning happens. Your child interviews family members, grandparents, aunts, uncles, parents. Give them questions to ask. When do we make this recipe? Who taught you how to make this? What's your favorite memory of making this? Why is it special to our family? Has the recipe changed over the years? Then write down the answers. They can write down the answers, or if they're younger, you can help them record audio on a device and transcribe it later together. This is practicing interview skills, active listening, and asking follow-up questions. Step 3, test the recipes. Make them together. This is where it gets fun. Your child takes notes while you cook together. Did the recipe work as written? What was tricky? How long did each step actually take? What tips would help someone else make this successfully? This teaches attention to detail and procedural writing, explaining a process so clearly that someone else can follow it. Step 4, create the book. Now you're putting it all together. This looks different depending on your child's age. For ages 7 to 9, they dictate, you type, or write it by hand, which is fine. Handwritten recipe books have their own charm. For ages 10 and up, they do the typing with your coaching. Each recipe should include the actual recipe with ingredients and instructions, the story behind it from the interview, a photo of the finished dish, optional but nice, any special tips or memories. You can create this digitally or print it, or make it by hand in a nice notebook. Either way works. Consider putting it into a binder and you can add recipes over the years. Step 5, share it. This is crucial. Give copies to family members, especially the people your child interviewed. This moment, when grandma opens her copies and sees that her recipes have been preserved, powerful. Your child sees the impact of their work. They see that what they created matters. This is their published work. They're an author now. What this looks like at different ages. Ages 4 to 6, they can help make recipes. They can draw pictures. They can dictate stories to you. They're part of the process, even if they can't do the writing yet. Ages 7 and 9, they can conduct interviews with support. They can write the recipes with your help. They can take photos and help with design decisions. Ages 10 and up, they can own this project. You're there as a resource, but they're doing the bulk of the work. Interviews, writing, designing, compiling. My child hates writing. This is why we start with interviews and real recipes. The content is already there. They're just capturing it. Plus, there's real purpose here, not just a school assignment. We don't have family recipes. That's okay. Create new traditions. Document your favorite recipes. Interview neighbors or friends about their special dishes. Make this about building new traditions, not just preserving old ones. It sounds like a lot of work. Start smaller. Make it a 3 recipe book instead of 10. Do 1 per week. This doesn't have to be finished in a weekend. Take your time. The goal isn't perfection. The goal is creation and preservation. In my classroom, we did a writing project where students interviewed family members and documented important family knowledge. One of my students, a kid who usually said, "I hate writing," and avoided it whenever possible, came completely alive when documenting his grandmother's spaghetti recipe. He interviewed her 3 times to get all the details. He insisted on making the spaghetti with her to understand the process. He wrote it all down with care. When he gave the finished book to his grandmother, she cried. And then he asked me, "Can I make another one? I want to get her lasagna recipe too." That's what happens when writing has purpose, when there's a real audience and a real reason. That's long term development, building identity as someone whose words matter. Okay, let me pull all 3 pillars together for you now. Pillar 1, systematic thinking, day 9. Don't just fix surface systems, address the foundation. When we sang together on day 9, we built oral language that ripples into reading comprehension. Pillar 2, win-win-win systems, day 10. Create systems where everyone wins and nothing burns you out. When we set up table setting as a responsibility on day 10, you got time back. Your child built executive function skills, and the family system got stronger. This recipe book works the same way. You get family heritage preserved, your child develops real world skills, and your family creates something meaningful together. That's win-win-win sustainable systems where everyone benefits. Pillar 3, strategic resource allocation, day 11. Invest your time and energy in activities that create the biggest return. On day 11, we spent 20 minutes driving to see lights and built massive language skills with 0 prep time and 0 cost. This recipe book might take several weeks, but it builds writing skills, interview skills, family connection, cultural identity, something you'll treasure for years. That's strategic. Big return on your investments. Today, you're building the athlete, not just winning this game. You're developing capacities that will serve your child for life. The ability to interview people and gather information, skills in documenting processes clearly, understanding that their voice and their work matters, connection to heritage and purpose. That's the head coach framework. That's what makes this different from typical parenting advice. You're not just getting through the day, you're building something that lasts. Over the past 12 days, you've experienced what it means to think like a head learning coach. You're not trying to teach everything yourself. You're not replacing your child's teacher. You're creating strategic opportunities for learning that happens naturally through family life. You practice systematic thinking. You built win-win-win systems. You've made strategic choices about your time and energy. You focused on long-term development. But what if this didn't have to end after the holidays? That's why I created the Family Learning Adventures membership. Every single month, you get a new themed learning adventure, like what we did these 12 days. But it goes deeper and continues month after month. Video walkthroughs showing you exactly how to facilitate these activities. You can watch over my shoulder and see how to do this. Printable resources with conversation guides, so you're never guessing what to say. Live coaching calls and opportunities to interact with a community of parents and teachers who think this way, who understand that head learning coach thinking and support each other. Founding VIP enrollment is open now. So your founding member pricing saves you between $60 and $120 every single year. forever. If you're watching this after the date, I will have plenty of promotions and opportunities for you to participate and grow with our gamification opportunity. And over time, you will have some of the same opportunities, but some of those opportunities will disappear forever. Beginning in January 2026, founding members will get access to the Homework SOS resource to help you end homework battles, prompts to use with Notebook LM, and guided courses on how to use this AI tool as a powerful study aid to help your ADHD and dyslexic child succeed, study courses on text mapping and the family reading board, and so much more. A special community where you get to help me create the resources your family needs. Text mapping strategies, my signature reading comprehension method, and a family learning board with setup guides so that you can create visual systems that work for neurodivergent learners. All of this is designed with the head learning coach framework at the core. You've seen for yourself these past 12 days. And if you're tired of tactical battles and ready for strategic leadership, this is for you. You can find the enrollment details in the description below. Thank you for joining me on this 12-day journey. You're not alone in this work, and you're more capable than you know. I'll see you inside the family learning adventures. Let's keep building together.